Welcome to another video about firearms and defense and safety, dealing with firearms. My name is Curtis Smith. I am with 3-Tier Defense, LLC, located here in St. Louis, Missouri. First off, we do have shirts available now. Finally, I'm wearing the gray shirt, and we also have them in white as well. So this will be the front of the shirt, and this will be the back of the shirt. All right, so we have them in an ash gray color and also a white color as well with the t-shirts. And we also have hooded sweatshirts for sale as well. Same logo on the front and on the back as well. We got the 3-Tier Defense logo on the front. And you also have the 3-Tier Defense logo on the back with firearm training up underneath. If you're interested in purchasing either a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a hooded sweatshirt, you can then go to our website at the number 3tierdefense.com. Click on shop and you'll be able to purchase the sweatshirts and the t-shirts on the website. So today's video, we're actually going to talk about ammunition, with looking at your firearms, your handguns, different type of ammunition you can use in a defensive situation. Some ammunition you may not really want to use in a defensive situation, but you can. If that's the only thing you have, you can use that in a defensive situation as well. And today we're actually going to stick with handguns. We'll do another video speaking about home defense as far as like shotgun defense ammo and also rifle defense ammo. If you do use a rifle, an AR style rifle, an AK style rifle, or something like that to defend your home. But again, today we're actually going to stick with handgun ammunition. I have a few different brands of ammunition here on the table. Not sure if you'll really be able to see it that much, but I will hold each box up. First thing we're going to speak about is target ammo. I'm not sure if you can see this real well, but so your target ammo is really your ball round ammunition. All right, these are two different types. Both are ball round ammunition. One is for, is rounded on the tip. The other one is a flat tip. But as you see, they both don't have any holes or anything at the tip. These are mainly used for target practice. All right, your ball round ammunition, or they're also called full metal jackets as well. If you look at the box on your target ammunition, some boxes would actually have target on the box. Some boxes will have FMJ, which stands for full metal jacket. But if you open the box in the store before you actually make your purchase, you will see, as far as like with your target ammo, basically just a standard ball round ammunition, whether it's rounded at the tip or it could have a flat tip as well. This ammunition is more used for target practice. So when you go to the range, want to target, get your sights together, get your trigger pull together, things like that, focus on training, you want to use your ball round ammunition. You can get ball round ammunition in bulk if you would like to get it in bulk, but usually you can get it in either a 50 round box or a 100 round box. They do come in 250, 500, 1000. That's if you get it in bulk. But it should either come in a 50 round box or a 100 round box if you do order it in bulk anyway. As far as right now, depending on the caliber firearm you have, whether it's a 380, 38, 45, 40 caliber, 10 millimeter, depending on what type of caliber you have, it depends on the caliber as far as the price of the ammunition. Right now, and generally your 9 millimeter is usually your cheaper ammunition, unless you're looking at maybe a 22 or something like that. But if you're looking at 380, 9 mil, 40 cal, 45 cal, 10 mil, and those type of calibers, your 9 millimeter will usually be your cheaper price as far as on your ammunition. They also have a range of different grains when you're looking at defensive firearms as far as handguns. the range of the grain of the type of ammo that you get, it varies. If I'm not mistaken, to my knowledge, I believe the 9mm it's a more versatile round, or versatile round as far as the grains that you can get. Because I've seen grains with a 9mm from 90 grain, which is a low recoil grain, all the way up to 147 grains, which is, it'll give you a little bit more recoil, but it does have a little bit more stopping power, and things like that, because the grain of the actual projectile itself, the bullet itself, is a little bit heavier. Also, when you're looking at bullets, you do have two different parts. You have a projectile and you have a casing. Your projectile is actually the part of the bullet that leaves the barrel. The casing is the part of the bullet that is ejected out of the side of the slide if you have a semi-automatic. If you have a revolver, the casing is the part of the bullet that actually stays inside of the cylinder. So the projectile actually comes out of the muzzle. The casing stays either in the cylinder on a revolver, or is kicked out of the side on a semi-automatic. But the entire bullet itself is, when people say bullet, this is the projectile and the casing together. I'm not going to go into any of the more intricate parts of it. When you're looking at the base plate of the bullet, gunpowder and stuff like that on inside of the casing and any of that stuff. But again, when you're looking at defense, you'll be looking at a full metal jacket, or again, on the box it'll say FMJ, or I know on some of your boxes, like with Winchester and a couple other brands, they actually have Target on the bottom of the box, whether it be on the left hand side or the right hand side. You'll see a Target, an actual picture of a Target, and then under it, it'll say Target on the box. But like I say, some other brands will possibly just have FMJ on the box. Okay, like with this one, this is Sailor and Belay. But here on the side, this is 45 caliber, but you can see it has FMJ on it. Again, it stands for full metal jacket. So it usually have the type of ammo that it is on the box. If you're having problems finding the type of ammo it is, whether it's Target ammo, if it's hollow points, and you're really not sure just by looking at the box, while you're standing in the store, just go ahead and open the box, pull one of the rounds out, and you can check to see what it actually is, whether it's a full metal jacket or if it's a hollow point or whatever. If you go in the store and you're looking at ammunition and you open the box to check to see what type of round it is, and somebody that works at the store say that you can't do that, just go ahead and leave that store. It shouldn't be a problem with you looking and checking the ammunition at the store, because once you purchase ammunition, you cannot return it. So if you purchase the wrong type of ammunition, you'll basically either have to sell it to someone that you may know that has that same type of firearm and want the ammunition that you purchased by mistake, or you just have to keep it. But you want to make sure that you're purchasing the correct ammo at the store. Again, whether it's for target practice, or whether if you'll be using it for defense with your hollow points, your hydro shots, anything like that. We'll get into a little bit more with about hydro shots and different hollow points and things like that. But again, that's your target ammo, your full metal jacket ammo. So we're going to move over to your hollow points, which is more of your defensive round ammunition. Hollow points, you have a couple different types. You have hollow points that have a copper top on it. You have some that have a silver tip on it. As far as the bullet, they're hollow point, and it's basically the same as the name. The hollow point, the top of the bullet is hollowed out. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna take one of these full metal jackets as well. But the top of the bullet, which is the silver one, is hollowed out. On the full metal jacket, you actually have a tip on that. All right, so those are the differences between your two rounds. You can use a full metal jacket or a target round to defend yourself. If that's all you have, you can use this. I'll explain a little bit of the differences here in a little bit once I go through some of the different type of rounds that you have. But on your hollow point round, okay, when you fire this round, I think I should have one of the boxes up here. If I don't, I got my safe right here and I just go grab the box. And it's actually on the SIG box and I don't have it, so give me a second. Let me grab the SIG box. I just want to show you, actually, I can use the back of this Winchester box here. So again, on your full metal jacket, when you fire the round, the tip of the round itself will basically stay in a whole form. Whether it's a ball round tip or a flat round tip, it'll just stay in a whole form. There's no opening up or anything like that with your full metal jacket round. But on your hollow point round or your hollow tip round, when you fire it, it actually opens up and it looks like this picture here on the side. So that's basically what your hollow point round looks like when it opens up when you fire the round. Okay, so it starts as a regular bullet like this here, but if you can see, it does have a couple slits on the side of this round, and this round is actually a little bit different, and I'll explain this round as well. But you can see the slits at the top. That actually helps the wind catch the bullet and open it up to where you'll hear people say the bullet will mushroom out, which is what this picture here shows. It basically shows the mushrooming out of the hollow point round. All right, that is important because of the diameter of the bullet once you shoot it. And the good thing about that, when the bullet opens up, actually, I'm gonna revert back over here to the full metal jacket real quick. On your full metal jacket rounds, because there's no opening up, splitting back or anything like that, this basically stays as a solid form again. When you shoot this, when it hits your target, or if somebody's trying to attack you, when it hits the suspect, it stays in this form here. Okay, it stays in a solid form. Depending on where you hit the suspect at, this can have a tendency to go through the suspect and continue on past the suspect. Okay, if you hit him in the arm, if you hit him in the shoulder, the trap area, something like that, this could go through the suspect and continue on down the street, possibly hitting somebody else, hitting a bystander or something like that. On your hollow points, they're basically made to want to stop once they hit. That's why it opens up and gives you a wider diameter. Because if you think about it, if you look at physics, if you take something that's smaller and something that's wider and you drop both of them, the smaller one usually would be faster, get into the ground or get into wherever you're throwing it or whatever. Something that's bigger is actually going to catch more weight and more wind, so it wants to slow down more. Okay, so that's basically, you can kind of look at that as far as like with your bullets, because it mushrooms out, so it makes the diameter of the bullet itself wider, which means it's catching more wind, so it wants to have the tendency to actually slow the bullet down some while it's in flight, but it also hits with a little bit more power or a little bit more impact as well, because it's wider than the full metal jacket round. So that's why you'll hear a lot of people say when they're looking for defensive ammo, they'll say that the hollow point is the best type of defensive ammo that you can get compared to the full metal jacket. The hollow points are a better option. Hollow points, you can get them in a box of 20. You can get them in a box of 25. Most of your hollow points usually come in a box of 20 or 25. You can get hollow points in a box of 50. Like this ammunition here, this comes in a box of 50. I know some of your Remington ammo comes in a box of 50 as far as hollow points as well. So you can get them in either a box of 20, which these here are Hydra shots made by Federal. Like I say, I'll speak about the Hydra shot round here in a second. But this is a box of 20. Let's see. The Silver Tip by Winchester, that's a box of 20. Winchester, these are 147 grain. I believe this might be a box of 20 as well. But they usually come in either a box of 20, some companies have it in a box of 25, or you can get a box of 50, or again, if you want to purchase in bulk, you can purchase more at that time as well. But let's transition over to the Hydra shot round. The HydroShot round is basically a hollow point round as well, but the HydroShot round actually has a pin inside of the round. I'm not sure if you all will be able to see this too well, but like on the inside of the round, it's a hollow point round, but there is a pin, like a little steel pin that's sticking out on the inside of that round. I'm gonna grab just a regular hollow point round so you can see the difference. So you have the silver tip is the regular hollow point round, and the copper tip is the HydroShot round. So you can see the pin that's basically sticking out inside of the HydroShot round. So that's the difference between the HydroShot round and a regular hollow point round. But again, the HydroShot round, this box, the HydroShot round will still mushroom open as well because it is a hollow point. But when that round opens up, that pin that's in the middle of the round actually sticks up. All right. Some people think that that pin falls out once the round is fired. It doesn't. That pin actually just sticks up and is made into the metal of the actual projectile on the top. So it's not just going to fall out when the round mushrooms open. One of the things with your HydroShot is it wants to stop a little bit more than just a regular hollow point round. Okay. Again, it mushrooms open, but that pin, it wants to hit and stick into whatever it hits. But again, that also depends on where you hit the suspect at and things like that. If you go to the range, if you look at the target, you have 7, 8, 9, and then you have your bullseye, which is in the middle. That's really where you want to focus on shooting at, because this part of your body houses organs, muscle tissue, arteries, things like that, that is heavier. So it wants to stop the bullet from actually going through. If you look at trying to shoot somebody in the leg, that's just all skin, muscle, stuff like that, bones right down the middle. But if you hit them on the side, it's easy for a bullet to go through muscle, tissue, and stuff like that than it is for a bullet to actually go through fighting all these organs in this general area here. So that's why they want you to shoot for center mass rather than trying to aim to hit somebody in the arm, hit somebody in the leg, hit somebody in the trap, in the shoulder, something like that. So you want to make sure you know the bullets that you have compared to where you're actually shooting your suspect at. I have a lot of people that say, well, I don't want to kill somebody, I just want a firearm for protection. If you purchase a firearm and are going to use a firearm for protection, if you have to pull your firearm, that means your life or the life of another is in imminent danger of serious bodily harm and or death. You are not trying to wound somebody that is trying to possibly kill you. The target is not here. It's not here. It's not in the legs, in the shin, anything like that. It's center mass for a reason, because they want you to focus on shooting in this general area here, not trying to hit them in the arm or in the leg. And I usually tell my my students and my classes and things like that, do not try to aim. It's hard to aim for an arm. It's hard to aim for a leg. It's easier to aim for the chest area because, for one, it's a bigger area. You can't fling your chest area or your torso area like you can with your arm, with your legs. And it's generally just a bigger overall area here, center mass. So to aim center mass is basically where you're trying to aim to if you're looking at defending yourself. Because again, in a defensive situation, you're not just trying to wound somebody, you're trying to stop the threat in general. If you have time to get away from the situation, if your life or life of another is not in imminent danger and you can leave, then leave. If you have to pull your firearm, you're not pulling your firearm to scare somebody. You're pulling your firearm to defend yourself. There's been many instances where people would just carry a firearm, won't carry any ammunition or anything on it because they have the mindset that if I pull a gun, somebody will stop attacking me. In this day and age, that will not happen. They will still attack you even if you pull a firearm. You have to look at different type of drugs, different type of mentality that people have, the mindset of people, anything. Just pulling a firearm right now is not going to stop a threat. It could, but don't use that as your entire basis of defense. Okay? Just taking a firearm with you, don't have any ammunition or anything in your firearm, and possibly if an attack happens, just hoping that you pulling your firearm is going to stop an attack. That's not the mentality to have. That's not the way that you should be training in a defensive situation. All right. So again, if we go back to the Hydra shot, the Hydra shots are a little bit more expensive. If you're looking at price point between Hydra shots, hollow points, full metal jackets, again, your full metal jackets would be a cheaper price because most of the time people are just getting full metal jackets to go to the range, shoot them off, target practice, stuff like that. So those are usually a little less expensive than your Hydra shots and your regular hollow points. On your box of your hollow points, you could see a couple different things on your box of your hollow points. You could see JHP, which stands for jagged hollow point. You could see a few different things on a box of hollow points. This box here, the Winchester Silver Tip, this is 147 grain. It tells you the grain of the round, usually on the box as well. And then right up under it, it has defensive JHP. So it's 147 grain, and then it has defensive JHP on the bottom of it. All right, so it's telling you over here that it's 9 mil. Over here on this side, it has 147 grain and defensive JHP. That's basically just saying that this is a defensive round and it's a jagged hollow point. Again, if you have any issues when you're out at the store, just open the box and look at it. If you pull the round out and it has a hollow point tip at the top of it, it's a hollow point, it's for defense. If it has a ball round tip or a flat tip at the top, it's for target practice. Okay? Let me see. On the back of some of your boxes of ammo, not all of your boxes will have it. Now, let's see. Nope, I don't see it on here. But on the back of some of the boxes of your ammunition, it will basically have a FPS chart on the back of it, which is foot per second. So let's see, on the back of this is again Federal, jagged hollow point. On the back of it, it'll tell you the velocity, the energy, the bullet trajectory. It have a muzzle, 25 yards, 50 yards. Off of the 25 yards and the 50 yards, you can basically map out anything out to, if you're looking at trying to shoot your handgun out to 100 yards or something like that, you can basically look at the foot per second, the velocity, the energy, and things like that off of this chart of 25 and 50 yards on the box of on the back of the box. So again, this is Federal, the Hydra shots. So on the back of the box, not sure if you can see that, but it's actually over here on this side. Let me see if I can actually put that in more to where you can see it. There you go. So you can see basically the velocity, the energy, and things like that of this actual round. Again, this is a 147 grain round. I'm sorry, this is a 180 grain hollow point round for the this for 40 caliber. But on the back of the box, on the velocity, the foot per second, you have coming out of the muzzle, it's 1,000 feet per second. At 25 yards, it's dropped down to 972 feet per second. At 50 yards, it drops down to 946 feet per second. So when you're actually looking at this, you can pretty much guesstimate the drop at a certain distance when you're looking at shooting. If you're shooting a semi-automatic, usually your round, because if you look at the barrel and the muzzle flip of a semi-automatic, is usually up and to the left when you shoot. Okay, so if your barrel is going up and to the left when you shoot, the bullet is coming out the muzzle straight, but it's going to veer up and to the left and then fall off up and to the left. If you look at a revolver, usually when you shoot your revolver, it recoils straight back. Instead of going up to the left, it recoils straight back, which means on your revolver, the bullet will actually go straight longer before it starts to drop off. Now with that, it could drop off to either the left or the right side. If you're outside, you have to look at the wind, and different elements like that. If you're outside, depending on which way you're actually shooting and things like that. If you're going to the left side, if you're following a suspect to the left, if you're following the suspect to the right. So it's a lot of different things that you have to look at when you're looking at a defensive situation. Of course, if you're inside of a dwelling, you don't really have to worry about wind or anything like that. So you can pretty much go off of this chart. But when you look at being outside, when you're looking at the wind, all that comes into play when you're actually firing around. Okay, so you have to do a lot of math and everything in your head on the fly. If you're in a defensive situation and again you're outside, windy days, more calm days, the wind is not blowing as much. Again, all that stuff you have to play out in your head. As long as you know the round that you're using, the grain that you're using, the feet per second, the velocity coming out of the muzzle, all of that stuff has to be put into your equation when you're trying to do all this stuff on the fly. So a lot of times that's hard to do unless you train and are familiar with that. They're looking from a 380 up to a 10 millimeter. So you want to know the type of grain that you're using. Like let's say with a 9 millimeter. A 9 millimeter low recoil grain would probably be 90 grain. You have a 100 grain 9 millimeter round. Usually your FMJs or your target ammo with a 9 millimeter is usually 115 grains. But you also have defensive rounds. A 90 grain and a 100 grain could be a defensive round as well. Your 115 grain could be a defensive round. It could be a hollow point at 115 grains. But then you can also go up. You have a 124 grain 9 millimeter. You have a 136 grain 9 millimeter. And you also have a 147 grain 9 millimeter. Okay, so you're basically looking at the grain of the bullet itself, not the entire bullet. You're looking at basically just the projectile, the part that's coming out of the muzzle. That's what you're weighing. That's the grain that they're actually speaking about when they post the grain on the actual box. So knowing the grain that you have is important because now, again, in a defensive situation, you know a lighter grain round will move quicker. A heavier grain round will move a little bit slower. I look at ammunition and firearms. Basically, I'm real big into boxing. So I look at that as boxing. So you have, let's say if you look at your weight classes, you have lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. Lightweight, they hit hard, but they're a lot quicker. All right. Middleweight is both. They got speed and they got power. Heavyweights, they tend to be a little bit slower, but they hit a lot harder. So I look at that when you're looking at different grains or even if you're looking at firearms in general. So let's say if you got a 9 mil or 40, 45. So the 9 mil will possibly be a lightweight, 40 caliber will be a middleweight, 45 caliber will be a heavyweight, because now you're looking at the actual grain of the round itself and the stopping power of the round. Not saying, of course, you can diffuse a situation with a 9 millimeter, you can diffuse a situation with a 380, you can diffuse a situation with a 22 caliber firearm as well. But if you're looking at stopping power itself, you may want to look more at a 45 caliber if your biggest thing is stopping power. If you really just want to defend yourself, you can stick within the range between a 380, 9 millimeter, somewhere around there. Like I say, the 9 millimeter, to my knowledge, has the more versatile round because of the grain that you have. Again, it goes from a 90 grain round, low recoil round, up to a 147 grain. So you have 5, 6 different grains you can play around with: 90, 100, 115, 124, 136, 147. So you have 6 different grains that the 9 millimeter round is basically calibrated in. With your 40 caliber, you can do like 165 grain. You can do a 180 grain, something like that. As far as like with the 40 caliber, with the 45, you can do a 180 grain, a 200 grain, 230 grain. So like I say, I mean, you can play around with different grains. If you're looking at with your defense, if you're used to going to the range with a 9 millimeter, and you're used to shooting a 115 grain round at the range, that means your wrist is more set at a 115 grain round. So if you're looking at doing anything under 115 grains, like a 90 or 100 grain, it's going to have less recoil in it, but your wrist is trained for the recoil of a 115 grain round. All right. If you look at one to get something a little bit heavier, like a 124, 136, 147, because your hollow points are more expensive than your full metal jackets or your target ammo, I'll usually tell somebody, if you want to get, let's say if you want to jump up to a 136 grain hollow point, all right, you may be able to find 136 grain target ammo. I haven't seen it. I really haven't even researched a 136 grain target round for the 9mm. But if you can't find a 136 grain target round, I'll usually tell people, take some ammo, take a 115 grain ammo, take 136 grain hollow point, put it on your bed or table, mix it up, and then load your magazine with it, with the ammo. Don't look to see where the 136 grain round is at. Don't load your ammo where you're loading, let's say if you hold 12 rounds. Let's say you load 6, you put your 136 in there, and then you load 5 more. All right, that's your 12 rounds. You know where the 136 grain is at. So as you're at the range firing, when you get to that 5th full metal jacket round, now you're going to tense up more because you know that 136 grain round is next. So you're going to tense your body up more to accept the recoil of that one round. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure your ammunition up. You don't want to know where that 136 grain round is at. You want it to shock your muscle group as you're shooting, because you want to start to get the, you want to start familiarizing yourself and your muscles with a heavier grain round, because it is going to give you a little bit more recoil. Again, depending on what type of firearms you're used to shooting, things like that. If you're, used to shooting the gamut of firearms, if you've trained with 9mm, you train with 40 calibers, you train with 45 calibers, you train with 10mm, 357 magnums, 44 calibers. You train with all these different type of rounds and different type of firearms. That 136 grain round is not really going to make a difference to you, because you're used to shooting 230 grain rounds, 260 grain rounds, and stuff like that. So something that's 136 grain, your muscles and your mindset and everything is already ready for a ground of that size. It's 136 grains. It's not going to be the same recoil as a 180 grain 40 caliber round, or a 230 grain 45 caliber round. So you're really not going to notice the 136 grain round. But if you're really new to shooting, you really haven't shot that much, and you're basically used to the 115 grain round, you do want to, have a shock of a 136 grain round if that's what you're going to be carrying in your firearm as a defense round. So you want to make sure that you know the recoil of it. It's not really a lot more than the 115 grain round, so you really don't have to too much worry about it. As long as you got a good handle on the firearm, got your sight alignment, sight picture, trigger control, trigger pull, all that stuff is set up. You have your arms out, ready to fire. Anywhere it goes when you train, you should be training the same way, no matter what grain the ammunition is. If I'm shooting a 22, I'm still holding the firearm as if I'm shooting a 45 caliber firearm. That's just the way that I train. Knowing that it's a lighter round, I don't bend my elbows, like this is not really going to be much recoil. I don't really have to worry about it. Every time I point a firearm at a target, I train the same way at all times, as far as how I'm actually standing, my stance, whether it's a isosceles stance, a straight shoulder width apart stance. However I shoot any firearm as far as handgun, I train the same way, no matter how small it is or how big it is. Practice makes perfect, right? So always training the same way, no matter as far as like with the recoil or anything like that. You're still basically making sure that you have a 70-30 rule when you're holding your firearm, 70% on the weak hand, 30% on the strong hand. Make sure everything is cut properly. Make sure both of your thumbs are angled toward the target. If you're doing semi-automatic, if you're doing a revolver, because you got the cylinder that's spinning, make sure you got those thumbs crossed, behind the cylinder. That way you're not obstructing the cylinder from spinning freely. Stuff like that. I practice the same way every time, no matter what caliber I have. But again, when you're looking at a defensive round, you want to go with either a hollow point or you could do a hydro shot. Like I said, it's a little bit more expensive. You really don't have to worry about it. You know, it's cool to have it, you know, if you want to use it. But again, just using a standard jacketed hollow point would do just fine in a defensive situation. Again, if that's all you have, or full metal jackets or target ammo, that would defend you as well. But again, make sure you're aiming for center mass. All right. That way you don't really have to worry about the round going through somebody, traveling on down the street, traveling a little bit past the person. Once it actually hits them, could go through them, again, hit somebody down the street. With us being responsible firearm owners, we always have to know what's behind our target. All right, not just knowing we have a target, but also knowing what's behind that target. Just in case when you shoot, you miss, you want to know what's behind that target. Of course, the bad guys they really don't care. But when you're looking at responsible firearm owners, CCW carriers, things like that, we always have to make sure we are safe. Make sure we know the people that are behind our target is safe. Make sure we know where we're shooting at, all right, on the actual suspect. But all of that is training, again, but just being able to train and practice that and make sure you know the ins and outs, not only of your firearm, but also of an attack itself. Practicing drawing your firearm, coming up, practicing shooting from the hip, different things like that, knowing where you're actually set up at. If you're looking at a semi-automatic, if you have a semi-automatic, knowing where that round is coming out at. If you're firing, if you're right-handed and you're shooting from the hip, the opening is probably going to shoot that round up to where you are, because the opening is on that side. Actually, I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna do it real quick. All right. So I'm just basically just gonna grab a firearm real quick. All right. So if you're right-handed, when you're shooting, slides going back could kick that round out to the right side, could pop that round up, again, depending on wind, stuff like that. If you're left-handed, if the opening is on your right side, of course, it's gonna pop that round over to you. The casing, usually when it comes out of the slide, is hot because of all that pressure. So if you're firing, that pop out, it hits your skin, something like that or whatever, you still want to make sure that you're in the mindset to not even worry about it at the time. Your adrenaline is going to be pumping so much, you're probably not even going to feel it or anything like that. But later on, you might have a little, a little scar or a little burn or something like that. That's probably just a casing coming out, striking you a little bit in that defensive situation. Make sure I put this over here. Again, when I'm doing training and stuff like that, I usually don't have any firearms by me when I'm talking about ammunition. Don't want to make any mistakes. So I'm gonna make sure that I put this firearm over on the back side while I got my ammo here in the front. But again, like when you're looking at your ammunition, practice with different types. Practice with different kind of ammunition. Some ammunition is better than others. Some would possibly cause your firearm to jam up, depending on what type of firearm you have. Some may jam your firearm up, others may not. So you want to practice with a couple of different brands, a couple of different types, especially with your full metal jackets. Again, full metal jackets, this is your practice ammo. You can buy Federals, Winchester, Herders, which is a Cabela's brand. Let's see, I got a couple different types of ammo running through my mind right now, but I mean, like I say, just purchase like Fiachi. So there's a lot of different brands of ammo that you can purchase. Grab different types of ammo, shoot different types of ammo, see how your firearm respond to it. When you clean your firearm, see how dirty certain ammo is, because you have some ammo that shoots dirty, you have some that shoots a little bit cleaner. So you want to make sure that you're knowledgeable about the different types of ammo. That way you know what you want to use and what you want to stay away from. But again, getting back to your defensive ammo, jacketed hollow points, JHPs, or hollow points in general is what you really want to use for defense. If you have full metal jackets and that's all you have, which is your target ammo, if that's all you have, use it. All right. There's nothing wrong with using the full metal jacket round for defense, but again, you also got to make sure that you're knowledgeable about where you're hitting your target at when you're looking at full metal jackets. Same thing when you're looking at jacket and hollow points, but on your full metal jacket round, it wants to exit the muzzle, and you can look at a full metal jacket like a dog that has no training. All right, it's not going to stop when you want it or hope it will stop. Jacket and hollow point is a little bit more of a trained dog. All right, when you hit, hopefully you want it to stop, and making sure that you hit in the areas that you need to hit in, the areas that you target. That would be more apt to stop, because again, it mushrooms open, the diameter is wider, so it's actually pushing back to the wind, which is actually slowing it down a little bit. But again, it's moving at a fast enough speed to still be able to hit the target depending on where you are. In a defensive situation, you're not going to be shooting at a target that's 25 yards out unless they also have a firearm. But usually anything dealing with self-defense will usually be somewhere between right up on you and between 3 and 6 feet away from you. All right, it's not really going to be 15 yards out, 20 yards, 25 yards, 50 yards, or anything like that. So the main knowledge that you really want to have is something inside of, let's say, 15 yards. All right, but making sure that you stay within that range as far as knowing the FPS, the foot per square, the feet per second on your ammo, being able to do the math real quick on, okay, if let's say this 180 grain round is 972 feet per second at 25 yards, what would that look like at 10 yards? All right, how hot would that round come out of the muzzle at 3 yards? If it's 1,000 feet per second with 180 grain round, if you're looking at 9mm, you may be looking at something around 1,392 feet per second, 1,364 feet per second. Again, but that also depends on the grain of the round. Heavier grain is actually going to be a little bit slower. Lighter grain is going to move a little bit quicker. So you always want to make sure that you know about the different ammo types that you're using, feet per second, stuff like that, the different grains, and all of that actually comes into play when you're looking at ammunition. Again, in a defensive situation, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. It really just depends on the situation. That's why I tell people, make sure you're training for different scenarios that may happen. You could have a scenario where your suspect is 3 feet away from you. You could have another scenario where your suspect is 8 feet away from you. All right. Yes, the distance is kind of close, but again, you still want to make sure you know as far as like with your ammo, what you're shooting, if the target is moving, what's behind the target, all of that stuff. But again, looking at different ammo, the two main types of ammo that you really want to concentrate on in a defensive situation is either a full metal jacket or a jacket and hollow point. All right. If you have any questions, you can hit me up on here at 3-Tier Defense on Facebook, 3-Tier Defense on Instagram. You can also go to our website at 3tierdefense.com. You can ask questions there. You can ask questions on Instagram and also on Facebook as well. If you have any ideas on any other videos that you all may want to see, you can go ahead and put that in as well. We appreciate all comments, all ideas, and things like that. So, just make sure you all are putting that information out there. We appreciate you all. We appreciate everybody that's watching this video right now. Make sure you share, because there's a lot of people out there that really don't know about ammunition, really don't know about firearms, really don't know about defense in general. So make sure you're sharing our videos. If they have any questions, make sure that they link into to our Facebook, our Instagram at 3-Tier Defense, and make sure that they're being in contact with us. Any information that they're looking for, if we don't know the information, we'll research it and we'll get the information and the information and everything back to them to try to help them become a more defensive citizen, being able to protect themselves, protect their families, and things like that, and not just being out here blind and just accepting anything that happened to them. Make sure you always know how to defend yourself and to defend your family at all times. That's the most important thing. Again, my name is Curtis Smith with 3-Tier Defense. Make sure you all tune in. I'll be doing another video at 6 p.m. The next video, I'll be discussing mace. I have had questions about mace, pepper spray, things like that as far as defense. So I am going to go ahead and do a video speaking about some mace, speaking about pepper spray, the different types of mace. You have gel, you have foam, you have just the mist and all of that. So we're going to go over a couple different things dealing with mace and dealing with pepper spray, OC spray, and all of that. So make sure you all tune back in at 6 o'clock p.m. to check out that video. All right, but for now, again, this is Curtis Smith with 3-Tier Defense. You check us out at 3tierdefense.com or 3-Tier Defense on Facebook and Instagram. Also, don't forget, we have our shirts and our hoodies on the website now for sale. This is the sweatshirt hoodie here. We also have them in ash gray and white as well. And we also have ash gray and white on the t-shirts. Also, this is the white shirt here, and I am proudly wearing the ash gray 3-Tier Defense shirt. All right, but until 6 o'clock, you all stay safe, and I'll see you all later. Thanks.